Hello, welcome to another Burgundy with Tweedy video. A little bit of a different area of Burgundy today. I said a little while back I am going to mostly focus, sort of 99% of the time we'll be sticking to the Côte de Nuits and the villages that I know and love there. I did a video a while back, I think it was about the Bourgogne Côte de Nuits, and I think in the preamble to that I was talking about how I generally preferred the Côte de Nuits versus the Côte de Beaune. Whenever anyone makes any kind of statement about how they would classify, how they would distinguish these wines of the Côte de Nuits versus the Côte de Beaune, it seems to be controversial. I had one particular comment. Somebody suggested that actually Volnay, of all of Burgundy, which is well into the Côte de Beaune, it's actually south of Beaune, so it's the southern bit of the Côte de Beaune, a long way south of the Côte de Nuits. Volnay is generally known as one of the more feminine wines of Burgundy, and I've heard this now from a couple of sources, so I think I ought to do the due diligence and actually try some Volnay, see what I think of it, and perhaps I have been misleading myself all this time by sticking so resolutely to the Côte de Nuits. To give this a really fair chance, I haven't just picked a completely random bottle. This is a producer called Antonin Guyon, and I had recently their Gevrey Chambertin. It was the one that came in a half bottle. In fact, I bought another bottle of that from the same shop. So there we go, this guy, rather than talk about it, this is their spectacular half bottle of Gevrey Chambertin from a vineyard called La Justice. It's a 2017 vintage. That's been wonderful. Both of these wines from Jeroboam's in Hampstead. And I hope, therefore, because I already know I like the style of that producer, that is already a good shoe-in. We're in a different vintage here. This is 2020, which might be a little bit on the young side. So perhaps this isn't an entirely fair comparison, but it is also a Premier Cru. So this, you know, within Volnay, this is presumably a wine. It's from a parcel that is considered to be of some quality. The particular vineyard is called Clos des Chenes. I know very little about Volnay, as I say, other than the fact that it is from the Côte de Beaune, south of Beaune, and some sources have suggested that it is quite a sort of elegant, finessed type of Burgundy. And if you're comfortable with using the term, a slightly more feminine style. So let's open it up and see what it's like. I think I really need to get better at making those intros a bit more punchy, like 4 bullet points. That's all people want. They don't want my life history. These videos aren't scripted. I mean, you probably guessed that, didn't you? I just sort of show up, I have a vague topic I might want to talk about, and it's usually just the wine that I'm drinking, and then I start babbling, so apologies if it is just a wordy mess. This was in the shop. I have bought this just now, so it wouldn't be quite at the same temperature it would be if I were bringing a bottle from my cellar at home. It is pretty cold outside today, 4 degrees C, so if this is slightly too warm, then hopefully that is a problem that will fix itself if I just sit around for a while. Okay, what are we starting with on the nose then? Getting a sort of relatively fruity sort of a nose. I want to say cherries straight away, straight off the bat. Perhaps slightly darker fruit than that. I mean, maybe a hint of black cherry, possibly slightly plummy, sort of dark plums, maybe even veering a little bit towards blackcurrant there. It is a relatively dark colour. There is a decent level of acidity, but there is also, it is a little bit more full-bodied than some of the Côte de Nuits wine. I mean, certainly not a full-bodied wine compared to anything outside of Burgundy. We're definitely in Pinot Noir territory here. It's all pretty light, but a full bodied type style. A little bit of peppery tingle towards the end there. There is a slight sweetness to that fruit. It isn't quite as acidic or sort of condensed, as concentrated as the Côte de Nuits styles that I'm more used to. It's a slight sort of very faint kind of almost smoky whiff there, something a little bit in the tobacco sort of leathery kind of spectrum. I'm going to be very careful not to use the word jammy because I know that's offensive, but there is a very, very slight hint of something like that. It's so hard to put my finger on why it is I don't really quite get on with this. The sort of first hint on the palate has a bit of a promise of concentration that somehow then just doesn't follow through. And is that what you talk about, the mid palate? A couple of seconds into, you know, taking a glug of it, I'm initially enjoying it, and then it's sort of, it partly peters out and goes weirdly kind of vegetal. It reminds me of kind of, I don't know, stock cubes or carrots or celery or something. And then there is this sort of quite a long, fairly tannic influenced finish. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, perhaps I need to have another glass and kind of maybe the temperature needs to come down a little bit, because it was just sat on the shelf of a shop which probably has the heating on, and it's probably 20 something degrees in there all day long. I need to try more wines from Volnay. Obviously this is just one data point here. I know I like this producer, but I don't know, possibly this vintage isn't ready yet. 2020, it's only had less than three and a half years since it was off the vine, I suppose.